was held from May 19th to May 21st, 2023. The final report assesses compliance for 20 priority commitments made at the Hiroshima Summit based on numbers actions from May 22nd, 2023 to May 15th, 2024. Overall compliance for the 20 commitments was assessed at 96%, which is tied for the highest overall compliance score with the USA 2020 Virtual Summit. This year, the United States, Canada, the European Union, and France ranked first with an average compliance score of 98%, followed by Germany and the United Kingdom at 95%. Last year's host, Japan, and this year's host, Italy, both had an average compliance score of 91%. In terms of compliance by commitment, 12 of the 20 commitments achieved a 100% compliance score. These 12 commitments covered a range of issues including climate change, energy, development, education, environment, food and agriculture, health, macroeconomics, and non-proliferation. With that, I will now pass this on to my co-chair, Ambra.
Hi everyone. I'm going to briefly give an Italian translation for the scores mentioned and then provide an analysis for the compliance results. So, salve a tutti, complessivamente il rispetto dei 20 impegni valutati è stato del 96%. Quest'anno gli Stati Uniti, Canada, l'Unione Europea e Francia hanno raggiunto un punteggio medio di conformità del 98%. L'Italia ha ottenuto un punteggio medio di conformità agli impegni del 93%. Dai 20 impegni valutati, 12 hanno ottenuto un punteggio di conformità pari al 100%. The summit saw a higher average compliance score compared to the 2022 Elmau Summit, where the average compliance score was 90%. The 2023 Hiroshima Summit was able to achieve such a high score of compliance compared to the past summit for two key reasons. Firstly, almost all G7 members faced domestic pressure for higher compliance with commitments due to elections taking place, where G7 commitments often coincided with national priorities. Another factor playing into the high compliance score is the general nature of the commitments made at the Hiroshima Summit. When assessing compliance, the G7 research group looks at all components of an individual commitment. The more specific a commitment is, the more components a member must fulfill in order to achieve full compliance. At Hiroshima, many of the commitments made by the leaders were more general and less specific, meaning that a larger range of actions by the members could count towards compliance. More general commitments may result in lower ambition actions in comparison to more targeted actions, meaning that compliance may be easier to achieve in shorter time frames. Now I would like to invite our team of editors, compliance directors, and lead analysts from our incredible leadership team who have led the compliance work for the past cycle to present some results from our report. First up, we have Tisya speaking on regional security.
Thank you, Ambra and Samraggi. I'm Tisya Raina, the editor of the G7 Research Group. A crucial topic shifting global dynamics is the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. The global effects of the war in Ukraine commitment has compelled member nations to levy immediate and severe costs on President Putin's regime for its actions in Ukraine. We focused on two commitments relating to supporting Ukraine, including one about imposing sanctions to increase the cost of war in Russia, as well as a commitment on providing security assistance to Ukraine. Through these commitments, member states are urged to continue providing military aid, such as equipment and resources to bolster Ukraine's defense capabilities. Financial supports, including loans, grants, and investments, play a crucial role in providing humanitarian assistance. This year, commitment compliance for sanctions was 100%, whereas security assistance was 88%, indicating a year of strong commitment by the G7 member states to regional security. Thank you. I will now pass it on to Petrina.
Thank you, Tisya. Hi, I'm Petrina van Nieuwstadt. I'm the lead analyst for non-proliferation. This cycle, there was full compliance to the commitment of promoting a reliable and responsible nuclear supply chain in accordance with the application of additional protocol of the International Atomic Energy Agency. This year was the first year where this commitment acquired 100% average compliance, beating last year's compliance score of 88%. In our analysis, we define compliance to include strong actions towards both actions in accordance with the three main pillars of the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, which are disarmament, non-proliferation, and peaceful use of nuclear technology. This also includes actions to adhere to negotiated terms between individual states and the International Atomic Energy Agency. This includes also actions that push towards the adherence of other states to apply to the additional protocol, including Russia, China, and Iran.
Thank you so much, Petrina. Hi, everyone. I'm Ysabel Atienza, and I'm the lead analyst for energy. At Hiroshima last year, the leaders committed to making clean energy technologies more affordable and driving a global and just energy transition. Overall compliance with this commitment was 100%. This score was determined using a metric for compliance, where full compliance required G7 members to take strong action in more than 3 areas. Furthermore, the leaders also committed to developing a rule-based, transparent global market and supply chains for low carbon and renewable hydrogen markets on reliable international standards and certification schemes. Overall compliance was 100% as well. Full compliance required G7 members to take several strong actions to develop low carbon and renewable supply chains, develop the hydrogen global market, and ensure supply chains and global markets adhere to environmental and social standards.
Thank you, Ysabel. Hi, I'm Eisha Khan. I'm the Compliance Director for Climate Change. It is expected that G7 leaders will tackle various issue areas regarding climate change at this year's summit. Last year, leaders previously recognized the direct and indirect impacts of climate change on various sectors and populations. This included topics such as sustainable farming, facilitating a green transition, climate disaster relief, and clean energy. Specifically, members committed to supporting appropriate policy emission reductions through diverse policy mixes, as well as implementing domestic mitigation measures aimed at achieving the national determined contribution targets, which were outlined by each member at the Paris Agreement. Overall, members strongly complied with these 2 commitments, achieving an average compliance score of 97%. Next is Mahek.
Hi everyone, my name is Mahek Kaur, and I am the Compliance Director for Food and Agriculture. At Hiroshima, G7 leaders committed to supporting the adoption of the One Health approach for food safety and sustainable food production, as well as to improving access to healthy diets and safe and nutritious foods. On a national scale, some notable actions include Italy's €300 million investment for agricultural emergencies and agricultural production, as well as Canada's Dairy Innovation and Investment Fund, which will receive $333 million over a 10-year period. On an international front, G7 members with the United Kingdom and United States at the forefront have announced substantial funding to support food access and sustainable food production in Africa, Middle East, and Ukraine. I expect food and agriculture with a focus on the food-climate nexus, sustainable food production, and food security to be a continued priority area at the summit, in line with the Italian presidency's priorities. Given the full compliance for this commitment at 100%, it will be fascinating to see how this commitment evolves. And with that, I'll pass it to Jacob.
Thanks, Mahek. I'm Jacob Rudolph, Compliance Director for Health. After a pandemic that took and disrupted lives and health systems across the world, the G7 continued its emphasis on health and well-being. In Hiroshima, the leaders committed to reversing the first global decline in life expectancy in 7 decades. They prioritized universal health coverage and progress towards the 3rd Sustainable Development Goal. G7 members fully complied with this commitment, taking action on the 13 specific targets within SDG 3. They spent hundreds of billions of dollars and allocated them in years to come for domestic and international programs while spearheading new initiatives. All members took action on environmental health, medicines and vaccines, access to health coverage, and emergency preparedness. Work remains to be done on building resilience for the global health architecture, including financing the pandemic treaty and implementing the recent amendments to the international health regulations. So expect renewed commitments on those pressing areas. And with that, I'll pass it to Angus.
Thanks, Jacob. I'm Angus MacKellar, Compliance Director for Development. This year, full compliance was achieved on development, with every G7 member meeting their commitment toward continued efforts to scaling up official development assistance with a focus on catalyzing innovative financing mechanisms. In collaboration with multilateral organizations, private partners, and each other, G7 members have mobilized significant funds for the development of physical infrastructure, fertilizer production, and other diverse initiatives. At this summit, I expect recommitment to existing monetary goals alongside new initiatives. Chiara will now speak on labor.
Hello, I am Chiara Barsanti, and I serve as a compliance director for the labor commitment. During the Hiroshima Summit, the leaders committed to create more quality jobs, and throughout the year, the G7 labor ministries met several times to discuss these opportunities. Of importance, they discussed the impact of AI and the clean energy transition on the labor market, and as well, they emphasized the importance of building a resilient and inclusive labor market by creating more skills training for older workers and also driving women-directed entrepreneurship. Overall, the G7 members satisfied the criteria of full compliance with an average of 88%. The G7 members invested over $10 billion in job creation, which included funding towards revitalizing their domestic labor forces and also collaborating with other governments to improve development abroad. And I will now pass it on to Serena.
Thank you, Chiara. My name is Serena, and I serve as the editor for the G7 Research Group. So the G7 leaders have always declared their commitment to protecting the fundamental freedom of workers in the global economy since the 1990 Texas Summit. Therefore, at the Hiroshima Summit for the 2023 to 2024 cycle, they reiterated their commitment to the effective abolition of all forms of forced and compulsory labor and child labor. 3 members, France, Italy, and the United Kingdom, demonstrated weak actions towards both pillars as they solely focused on reinforcing existing regulations. However, 2/3 of the members exhibited strong actions towards effectively combating forced labor and child labor, introducing bills, launching investigations, and passing new actionable plans. Overall, G7 members achieved a compliance of 81%. However, as one of the lowest compliance, we do expect to see increased commitment towards this issue, given the increasing relevance with the refugees and migrants crisis. I'll now pass it on to Anali.
Thank you, Serena. Hello, everyone. My name is Anali, Arambala, and I'm the lead analyst for digital economy. This topic has been discussed since 1997 with addressed issues ranging from tackling computer interference and promoting free flow of information to the protection of human rights online and the safety of 5G networks. The 2022 Hiroshima cycle centered around increasing trust across our digital ecosystem and countering authoritarian approaches through 2 main components. The first being improving the confidence in digital technologies by protecting personal data, and the second being fighting against limitations on internet freedoms such as censorship and mass surveillance. The commitment had a final compliance average of 94%, with 7 members demonstrating full compliance and 1 member demonstrating partial compliance. Actions mainly focused on AI governance, cybersecurity, and safe global interconnectivity. Next is macroeconomics.
Thank you, Anali. Hello, my name is Luca Rampersad, lead analyst for macroeconomics. Macroeconomic issues are a staple of G7 agendas. Keeping debts manageable and prices stable is consistently top of mind at annual summits, though global economic contexts and shocks have varied rapidly over the last 49 years. In Hiroshima, G7 members pledged to, quote, pursue a stability and growth-oriented macroeconomic policy mix that supports medium-term fiscal sustainability and price stability. Strong actions pertaining to fiscal sustainability include finding efficiencies in government spending, pursuing targeted rather than universal relief programs, and enforcing regulations that delimit acceptable debt or deficit levels. With regard to price stability, strong actions include preventing domestic monopolization, developing and improving crucial supply chains, and increasing the supply of price-volatile goods. Our team found that every G7 member had fully complied with this commitment, as each member took strong actions in both of those domains. This means a compliance score of 100%. Full compliance with this commitment augurs well for continued success in inflation and debt management for the foreseeable future. I will now hand you back off to Ambra and Samraggi.
Thank you, everyone. As my colleagues have highlighted, the 2023 Hiroshima cycle had remarkably high compliance scores across the board with an average compliance score of 96%. Once again, I would like to thank each of our analysts for their insightful comments, and with that, this concludes our portion of today's presentation. Before passing it to Professor Curtin, Jessica, and Ella, we would like to open the floor to any questions.